نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. With regards to the completion of recitation of Quran, the general advice is that people should recite whole completion in 1 month, which is for those people who are not ulama or hafiz of Quran. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's advice to Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As initially was to give it a month and complete in 1 month. He then said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I could do more. So he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, okay, then do it in 7 days. And do not do anything more than that initially. So that was for him, as reported by Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim. And there are many reports to suggest that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam then said, you can do up to 3 days. And then he sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, no one properly understood what he read in Quran if they did it in less than 3 days. Means that you would not be able to understand and grasp what it says. This is Sahih Hadith as well in Tirmidhi and Ibn Majah and Abu Dawud Sharif. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he would say that you should recite in not less than 3 days. And likewise, Mu'adh ibn Jabal would say do it in 3 days. So there are reports to suggest that. That is why certain Imams would consider it disliked makruh if you did it in less than 3 days. For example, Imam Ishaq ibn Rahawayh would have this opinion, Abu Ubaid would have this opinion, Imam ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullah alayhi, and all these big Imams have this view, and a few Imams that would suggest that. However, there are certain Imams and from among Sahaba who have had the completion done in less than 3 days. Imam Nawawi rahmatullah alayhi, he mentioned that certain Sahaba, including Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and likewise Tamim ad-Dari, and from among the Tabi'in, Sayyid ibn Jubair, Abdullah ibn Zubair, the Sahabi, they are known to have it completed in one night. So it sounds though they went against the command of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but obviously it is impossible, for the fact that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, follow my way and the way of my rightly guided khulafa. So Uthman ibn Affan on his own, being Khalifatul Muslimin, his path is fine. And Sahaba would never do something which is contrary to the Islamic teachings. So how do we understand this? Two ways. Number one, that this was not a regular practice, rather it was a practice of these Sahaba and Tabi'ins and Imams on special occasions. In Ramadan, last 10 days, for example, whole month of Ramadan, or when they're in Umrah or Hajj, when they have not got other responsibilities. So they're teaching regularly, doing iftar, doing writings, and participating in educating or whatnot. So many different things. They were busy people, Imams of the time, leading personalities of the time. But when they are in Etikaf, for example, or in Hajj or Umrah, or traveling, then they have got enough time. So what they would do, they would utilize that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put a lot of barakah in their time. So Allah made it easy for them, and they knew it. So I mean, like very, very clearly, that they know cover to cover, and their memory was very good as well. And many a time they would like to test themselves. Many a time they would like to make sure that they know it. And since we memorize Quran, we know how important it is to have it all done together, to understand that when you do your revision for exam, it is extremely important that you manage in as little time as possible the whole of the curriculum. So you do the first reading very slow, second a little bit faster, even third, fourth. There come a time when you actually want to do it all in a very quick way, so as to put things in place. It's like filling the jigsaw, getting all the similarities, resembling words and phrases and ayat of Quran to be in line. Many a time when we're doing our Taraweeh, and then, you know, and if you have to do one juz or, a little bit more or less, that helps a lot, obviously. But it is even better if you could do that all together, sit there and keep checking and counter checking from this ayah. Okay, here it is, this word before that one, there's this similarity. Let's go and check it. In that surah, it is like this. It helps a lot to perfect your memorization. This is the way of the people who know it very well. There are certain people who just memorize and then they are not, like, very slick with it. They just practice during Ramadan and get it done with. For them, there's a different matter. So they're not bothered. Those who are more keen and they've got good connection with Quran, they actually would like to do that. It is extremely important to be able to do that in one sitting, to be honest. Like 8 hours, 10 hours would take roughly between 8 and 10 hours, depending on your speed. So 20 minutes, 18 to 20 minutes per juz. So you want to do that, and that is how, if you did it few times, then, like, in say, on a weekly basis, or then then you know it. So that's more of a, not trying to understand Quran, what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying with regards to understanding. Yes, you wouldn't understand, but you're not doing it with understanding or for understanding. You would do that separately. You read it, spend time with this. Tadabbur is a different thing. This is, you are just practicing your memorization. So that is why some huffaz, when they're doing their sabak, when they're doing their new lesson, they just very, very quickly. It's just to, because if you did it slowly, it doesn't settle in very well. So you do slowly and gradually, it becomes easier and, very much smooth on your tongue, fluid on your tongue, and then slowly and slowly keep increasing the speed till you become master, to the level that you could be as a human being. Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali, rahmatullah, he also mentioned about certain imams. So there's a report about Imam al-Shafi'i, rahmatullah, he would complete the whole Quran twice in Ramadan. And this is not in prayer other than Taraweeh. So it would be 61 once in Taraweeh as well. Imam Abu Hanifa would do the same, one in the morning, one in the evening, and one in Taraweeh, either listening or reading. So they were like that. Uh, so, on special nights, or for the sake of memorization, it has been the practice, and there's nothing wrong with that. Now, final point, how you can reconcile the reports. The advice is for common people, not for elite, not for the elect ones. Those who have barakah in their life, those who could. It's like, there are certain people who could write, volumes after volume, many many books, and you and me know very easily to write one book is a lifetime achievement. And you've got scholars sitting there, from when they didn't even have press, you would just, handwritten books, not one, many many volumes. It's amazing how they did it. It was because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put barakah in their time. So they would have this luxury of doing it because they were connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They would minimize their time of distraction. They're not involved in dunya. Allah made it easy for them. As the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam confirmed, that when they come close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through their nawafil action after completion of their faraid, because that's the most beloved thing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then this nafil action would bring them even closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the point that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would become his hand that he would grasp with. What does that mean? Obviously, it's not. It's in true sense, it's a metaphor that Allah Subhanahu wa Taala would aid him, help him, his sight with which he would see to become easy. And Allah said in the Quran, وَمَا رَمَيْتَ إِذْ رَمَيْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ رَمَى. For Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you threw. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had a handful of dust and he threw in the battle of Badr over the enemy's side. And Allah and shahat al wujuh, he said. And Allah says in the Quran, you didn't do it, although you did it, but we did it. When you did it, it wasn't you, we did it. وَمَا رَمَيْتَ إِذْ رَمَيْتَ. When you threw that stone, sorry, that dust, a handful of dust, وَمَا رَمَيْتَ, you didn't throw it. إِذْ رَمَيْتَ, when you threw it. وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ رَمَى, but rather Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did it. Same is for when you kill them. You didn't kill him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did. So why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala become your hand, mean Allah aid, Allah support your hand. Whatever you do, Allah help it. So with regards to the memorization, it's the same thing. So they've got to do it many a time, and they would do it. So for those people, they have a reason to do so. There's nothing wrong with that. This is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's advice for common people. They should try do in 7 days, a month to 7 days to 3 days maximum, if they really want to do it. But then, if that's not for, if they want to ponder over Quran, then, do as slow as possible. But that's one thing that's going side by side. But your other recitation is for your memorization. If you've already memorized Quran, that you have to do minimum, you know, as much as possible. But 3 days for Hafiz is too much. Normally, it is recommended for modern day, in the modern time of the way ulama advised, for Hafiz to complete it in 10 days. So three juz every day minimum, and that would help them keep their hifz. But as I said, there's nothing wrong with that. To call it haram, to do it in less than 3 days, is complete ignorance. In fact, this is making Sharia and taking Sharia into their own hand. They are actually making a big allegation against Sayyidina Uthman ibn Affan, Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Shafi, Tamim al-Dari, the Sahabi, and Abdullah ibn Zubair, the Sahabi. Um, Subhanallah. How could you even do that? Even if you didn't know, so ignorance shouldn't talk anyway. And people shouldn't listen on surfing and certain things.